Michael, I've known you since you were a child. You're a gift. You always have. If there's an answer to the disease, you'll find it.
I should have died years ago. Why am I still here if not to fix this? I have a rare blood disease, and I'm running out of time. This could be my last chance.
You're up to something. What is it?
It's not exactly legal.
I don't want to see you get hurt more than you already have.
This would be a cure.
At what cost? Michael, what's happening?
I went from dying to feeling more alive than ever. Increased strength and speed. The ability to use echolocation. And an overpowering urge to consume blood. How far are we allowed to go to fix something that's broken?
Until the remedy is worse than the disease.
Michael Morbius. Got tired of doing the whole good guy thing, huh?
What's up, Doc?
How's it going, everybody? It's Warren, and we have our first official teaser trailer for Morbius. As you just saw, it's a very long teaser trailer, and it's packed with a ton of information about how Jared Leto's character, Michael Morbius, becomes Morbius the Living Vampire. And of course, there's also many different MCU references as well, particularly involving Spider-Man, which makes sense because Spider-Man and Morbius have a long history in the comics. So we're going to break down everything you need to know about this trailer. I'm still doing an Xbox One and PS4 giveaway. All you have to do to enter is subscribe with notifications turned on, like the video, and leave a comment about the trailer down below. I'm picking a winner at 550,000 subscribers. So the trailer starts off with the character saying, "Michael, I've known you since you were a child. You have a gift. You always have." Now, Jared Leto's character, of course, is Dr. Michael Morbius. And as they mentioned in the trailer, he has a rare blood condition. However, that is not the gift that he is talking about. The gift is that he's actually a genius. The first scene is most likely taking place in Greece when we see him as a kid, because he grows up in Greece before going to New York as an adult. And in this one scene, we see him limping down an aisle. People are clapping for him. And then when he gets to the podium, we can see behind him it says Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine, Dr. Michael Morbius. So he's incredibly smart enough to have won a Nobel Prize, and he spends his life trying to find a cure to his rare blood condition. As the trailer goes on, we finally hear him talk, and he says, "I should have died a long time ago. Why am I here if not to fix this?" We see him in the hospital attending to sick kids. We can see that he's a good person. But then he says, "I'm running out of time." And then we see him pull out a vampire bat, and then he says, "This could be my last chance." We hear the female doctor in this scene say, "You're up to something. What is it?" Now, this doctor is Martine Bancroft, and in the comics, she is the fiance of Michael Morbius. It's unclear if she's going to be his romantic interest or fiance in this, but she's definitely in this as another doctor trying to help him find a cure. But she says, "I don't want you to get hurt more than you already have," so there's clearly some more interest in there besides a professional relationship. But then he says that he's found a cure, but it's not exactly legal, and then they cut to a scene of him in a cave with a bunch of vampire bats. And we can see that he's kind of surrounded by walls, kind of these strings falling down, most likely some sort of a cage for him that's most likely electrotherapy. He cuts his hand in the beginning of the cave and he allows the vampire bats to come and get his blood. Now, the reason that this is most likely some sort of a cage for electrotherapy is because that's how he gets his powers in the comics. In the comics, when he is trying to cure himself of his blood disease, he does it with an experimental treatment involving vampire bat DNA and electroshock therapy. But of course, this did not cure his condition. Instead, it gave him a new condition. It gave him pseudo-vampirism, which means he needs to ingest blood in order to survive. And that's when we cut back to Martine in the trailer and she says, "At what cost?" And she is replying to him saying this could be a cure, but not exactly legal. And of course, the cost is that he's turning into a vampire. And then we see this happen. He's stuck in the cage and we can see that he's clearly changing. He's starting to feel the effects of the experiment that he just did. And he starts punching the walls and he starts actually breaking them because this is one of his powers. After the experiment, he gets superhuman strength. And then he finally starts changing and he starts to do other experiments about what condition he may now have. We see him in this chamber with all of the bats. It seems like he's kind of controlling them. And the blood disease that he had was a disease that made his body decay. Eventually the blood condition would consume his body and he would eventually die, and that's what he says in the trailer. He says, "I went from dying to feeling more alive than ever." And we see him on the table, his body decaying, but then we see him come out and he looks like a completely changed man. And then from here, he actually does a rundown of all of the powers that he now has. He says, "I have increased strength and speed." We see him lifting up a tomb that no man should really ever be able to lift up because they are just super heavy. We see him catch an apple that was thrown at him with his eyes closed. So his reflexes are also on point. And then when he's talking about speed, we can see him running through this hallway, and he's not just running on the floor, he's running on the walls, he's running on the roof. And it may look like he has the ability to teleport, but in the comics, he doesn't have this ability. He's just extremely fast. In the trailer, it kind of looks like Nightcrawler from the X-Men. It kind of looks like he's vanishing here and there, but it's actually him just moving at insanely fast speeds. They've just done a really good job on the effects of him running. I actually really like this. And then he says he has the ability to use echolocation. Now, this is an ability that bats have in real life. You may have heard people say blind as a bat. Well, bats aren't exactly blind. However, they see mostly using echolocation. And this is essentially the same as submarines using sonar. Essentially what happens is they put out a noise, a sound, some type of vibration, and that basically maps out their surroundings around them. And you can see him do that in this trailer. He puts out a sound and he can see all of the vibrations of everything around him. So this helps him see in the dark because when he gets this new vampiric condition, he actually is advert to the light as well. Just like you've heard in old vampire stories, vampires can't be in the light. It's the same thing with Morbius. He really doesn't like the light and it hurts him as well. And then of course we hear him say the last ability and an overpowering urge to consume blood. And then we see him use all of these abilities to take out some sort of SWAT team that's coming at him, turning into a true vampire. And then we have just a ton of Easter eggs. We hear Morbius say, "How far are we allowed to go to fix something that is broken?" And as he says this, we see him walking down an alley in what looks like prison clothes, but the main thing about the scene is you can see Spider-Man on the wall right behind him. And on it says "Wanted." This confirms that this movie does in fact take place in the same time in the same universe as Spider-Man Far From Home, because the last time we left Spider-Man in Far From Home, he was wanted for killing Mysterio. And I'll talk about this more in just a bit. We then see Simon Stroud, who is Tyrese Gibson's character, and he's a person that in the comics was a former CIA agent, which is what we see him here in this movie, but later goes on in the comics to hunt Morbius and Manwolf. And then we see Luxius Crown, or Hunger. Now, Hunger is most likely the main antagonist of the movie because in the comics he is a Spider-Man villain and a Morbius villain. And although it's unclear of what his actual role in the movie will be, he is most likely the main villain. And then we go back to Morbius saying, "How far are we allowed to go to fix something that is broken?" And it shows him actually drinking the blood of some people that he's killed. And then we hear the doctor say, "Until the remedy is worse than the disease." And then we see somebody running down the hallway. The lights are flickering on and off. The person is clearly scared. And then Morbius attacks. And then we finally see Dr. Michael Morbius as a vampire. The remedy is no longer the cure. He's completely turned into a vampire who needs blood in order to survive. But at the final parts of the trailer, we hear a voice and it says, "Michael Morbius, you got tired of doing the whole good guy thing, huh? And then it's revealed that the person that is saying this is Vulture, the same exact Vulture, Adrian from Spider-Man Homecoming. And this officially confirms that Morbius does take place inside of the same universe that Spider-Man takes place in, which of course is the MCU. We have an actual character from Spider-Man Homecoming that was in the MCU in Morbius and Sony's Spider-Verse. Not to mention the picture of Spider-Man on the wall, which by the way is from Spider-Man PS4 and is actually Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. But nonetheless, it's a picture of Spider-Man and it says wanted on it, just like he is after Spider-Man Far From Home. So this movie, Morbius, takes place inside of the MCU. They even have actual characters from the MCU in the movie. And not to mention J Jonah Jameson is said to reprise his role as well, and we saw him at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home. So this movie is really going to take place inside of two different universes. It's going to be in the Sonyverse, but it's also going to be a part of the MCU. And I'm all for that because this trailer actually looks really, really good. Let me know what you thought about this trailer and let me know what you think about the Spider-Man references and appearances. Let me know what you thought about this trailer in the comments down below. Do you think Jared Leto is going to crush this? And do you think it's going to be a good movie? Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe with notifications turned on so you can stay up to date on everything relating to Morbius, Spider-Man, and the MCU. And also so you can enter my giveaway for a chance to win an Xbox One or a PS4 and picking a winner at 550,000 subscribers. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.